Ngowi TV, informed economists and business perspective.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was saying we have had a wonderful session. And who made this session wonderful? None other than Prof. Ngowi. So, when the professor said that I had an input in making him what he is, I was very proud. And Professor Ngowi, you make everybody proud. Thank you. Now, if I might just very quickly go through Professor Ngowi's presentation. I'm not recapping, I'm just dwelling on some issues which I thought I have some things to contribute to. One, reasons for underperformance in implementation of the national budget. I think, and I believe, that the government, I think, made a mistake by becoming overambitious in the budget of 16-17, when it shot the budget from 22 trillion to 29, without really taking into consideration the revenue sources. And we see that in that budget, the government was able to collect 125. So there was a clear 4-point how much short. And since Ngowi has told us, Professor Ngowi has told us that the politicians are using the budget as a game, it is not very easy for them to come up with a lower budget. And I think that's what is literally haunting the government. So we are seeing some, this year they have increased it by a little, to show that we are growing. But again, we are not sure whether even that small increase will be realized this year because of that major overambitious projection they made in 16-17. So I thought really that I think could be the main problem. And that's why I completely agree with the professor that we should address the root causes and not touch on the symptoms of our problems. Yes, as CSOs, I agree with the professor, we should strive to urge for economic growth which should be all-inclusive, And I think as CSOs, we have a role to play in that. On the VAT exemptions on the pharmaceutical products and the sanitary parts, the intention of the government, I think, is good, to promote these products, which, if successfully implemented, will literally contribute in a major reduction of the use of forex in the importation of pharmaceuticals. But the question again is that, okay, fine, they have been exempted 18% VAT. I thought for Sikika and Hakelimu, really, they should do a tracking of seeing the impact of this. Is this exemption 18% VAT? Is it benefiting the consumers? And the consumers will benefit if we see lower prices of these commodities. But if the prices remain as they were last year, or we have having higher prices, then the benefit of the 18% exemption will not have fallen on the consumers, but rather on the manufacturers. And I think if we do that tracking, we can have a reason of coming back to the government a year or 2 years later, says, hey, rethink of what you did, because it has not helped the consumers. And I thought this should really be the responsibility of Sikika on the pharmaceutics and the Hakelimu for the parts, because you see, we know that the reduction or the removal of the VAT from the parts emanated from the argument of parts being used by schoolgirls and the like. The Gaming Act if there is something which I would say, if I was the president of this country, I would ban the gaming acts. Because believe me, whether we like it or not, I hear at Mzuka, I listen at what not, and more are coming. Believe me, these gaming things, they are literally negating the efforts of the government to reduce poverty in this country. These things are making our people poorer. They are becoming lazier. They are, people are borrowing money to play the Mzuka business. My God, and they are not winning because this is a game of chance. And right now, as I was coming, I was driving myself coming here, they are talking of 300 million this coming week, this Sunday. So I said, the poor people, they will be fighting to get money to go into this. But who is receiving the 300? It's one person. Who are receiving the 10,000 they are giving? Very few people. So these gaming games, they are not there to assist the Tanzanian poor people. These gaming games, they are there to enrich the owners of these games and the government, perhaps through taxation. And I completely agree with you, brother, that these are sinful. I think as CSOs, in our respective opportunities, we should really try hard to, when I look at what's happening in this country, we are almost surrendering everything to the politicians. The politicians have hijacked the budget. The politicians are hijacking everything. So, as long as we leave the politicians to use the budget as a political game, a budget, a properly prepared budget, Professor Ngowi will agree with me, is supposed to be a financial management control tool. A budget is expected to assist in managing the economy of the country. Now we are seeing a budget which is not respected. We are seeing so many things happening which are being implemented out of the budget.
We don't say anything.
Of course.
We are quiet.
As CSOs, we are quiet, and as everybody is quiet. But I'm saying it's not right. It's not right. We should really strive to adhere to budget implementation principles. The other thing Professor Ngowi mentioned of, it is true, our government is embarking on major development projects. It's not bad, because through that, I believe, it will contribute in getting the country to perhaps the middle income. But my frustration is when we, as a government, we wrongly believe that every major project should be wholly financed by government resources. While in this country, we have a law, public-private partnership law, which has not been, unfortunately, put into practice. You go to major cities all over the world, even in China, which is a socialist country, you find major projects, they are jointly undertaken by the state and the private sector. Believe me. I remember one day there is this daraja network, umoja daraja, ule la Msumbiji. You see, when it was being constructed, I was the CAG. I went and visited that and I found, in fact, Tanzania, I think we are spent about 27 trillion, billion in constructing that. That was a bridge which was purely constructed by Tanzanian money and the Mozambique money. And I came back, I wrote a paper saying, I know the majority of users of that bridge are not going to be Tanzanians. In actual fact, they are going to be Zimbabweans and the South Africans coming for tourism and what. Why don't we put a road toll? And the people I was talking to, when I talked of a road toll, they didn't seem to understand. But road tours, you go to South Africa, go to China, go to America, road tours are a common phenomenon. Fortunately, now we have a road tour at Kigamboni. When I went through that, I said, thanks God, perhaps people now minds are opening up, and perhaps we should see better things. But I think as CSOs and NGOs, we have a room of convincing the government to see PPP as an assured financing source of revenue for major development projects. Madame Moderator, you talked of the mining sector being neglected. And when I heard that, I said, oh. But I have just been appointed the chairman of Tate. And I thought I should tell you that, and literally say that I am really banking on your support and advice. And what is Tate? Tate is a tripartite committee made up of CSOs, NGOs, the industry, mining and gas, and the government. And I have been appointed to chair that tripartite committee. And the duty of that institution is to ensure that all revenues accruing from this sector, supposed to come to the government, come to the government. So, and therefore, that mining sector is not that neglected because in that committee, there are 5 CSO NGOs represented. And I thought that those people, or those CSOs in that committee, are representing the wider CSO NGO community. Yeah. I think that said, ladies and gentlemen, what else to say except to say that really, I thank you once again. I have benefited a lot, and the questions which arose from the presentation have been very enlightening, and I believe that we shall all leave this place better educated than when we came in. But also with the request to Professor that your paper being distributed to people, we should have something to refer to, and for Francis to call us again for such important things. Thank you very much.